What is going on? What is going on? It's Tuesday night. That must mean a new episode of the Daily Move podcast. We are back. I'm back in my home base here. I apologize for the technical difficulties last week when coming live from the Smoky Mountains. The internet wasn't great. The audio wasn't great, but we got through it. Another episode of the Daily Move podcast here. As always, I am Coach Daley, joined by my right-hand man, Coach Move. Coach Move, talk to me a little bit about your week. How you doing over there? It looks like your backdrop is growing a little bit, man. You got some stuff going on in the background. How's everything going down there by the Jersey Shore?
Good, man. Big studio plans going on behind me. What you see behind me is nothing compared to what's behind the camera on this side, but it's going to look pretty cool. So my US2 class with Frank and Mo and Nor and those guys, they can stop making fun of me. Just pretty good, Coach. Today we were 85 degrees. It was nasty in the building in some parts, but it is beautiful weather outside. We had a lot of games on campus. Big track meet on campus today. EHT, Mainland, Ocean City. A lot of great performances out there, but we're getting closer and closer to summer, which means closer and closer to football, man.
Yeah, you guys got a huge stadium down there too. So I imagine when you guys host a track meet, you got a bunch of folks out there, but you could probably host a bunch of schools too. And you talk about my background a little bit. Well, hey, I finally came home, got my Lunin package. All right, so I was excited to open that and to dive into that. Of course, we appreciate them for sending us some liquid hydration for our enjoyment. They do a great job over there, and clean water, glass bottles. These glass bottles are durable, man. It's tough carrying these things around. I feel like I'm getting a workout all day. So
that case was heavy, Coach.
Dude, you got a visitor already. So somebody says hi.
What's up, Ella?
There you go. Hey, we got a loaded show tonight. We got some I don't know, are we gonna drop big news or what?
Who are we not to?
I mean, we could drop big news. I mean, we're just like we're 218,000 hits this month. All right, across all social media platforms. You might have seen our social media post earlier. 218,000 hits, and dude, we keep on talking about how much content we have and like how many shows we could do and what we can do, and we're like, how can we maximize our reach here with with the show and what we're doing, and like. It takes a lot of time. We put in a lot of hard work to prep for these shows and to make sure that we're putting the best possible product out there. But today we're talking, and dude, we got to do more. We got to put more shows out there. So I think that's what we're gonna do. Whether we have to make them a little bit shorter and do them more often, but right now I'll spill the beans and let everybody know that starting probably next week, dude, we're gonna be dropping 4 shows a week. 4 shows a week, Coach Move. And listen, it's not always going to be an hour-long segment, but we're going to have a Monday show coming at you, and we'll get into that later in the week on our social media. We're going to have a Monday show coming at you. We're going to have our Tuesday live show like we're doing right now. Wednesdays, we're going to have the repeat of our live show. We're going to have that available just like we do out on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Good Pods, wherever you listen. We're going to have that going for you. Thursday, we're going to have our No Huddle segment, okay? And then Fridays, we're going to have a South Jersey. Fridays are going to be our day for South Jersey Spotlight, and then we're going to talk more about our South Jersey players, South Jersey coaches, stuff like that. But we got a lot of stuff coming at you. It's all great stuff. It's all it's because we have so much and we have so much to talk about, and why not do as much as we possibly can. So we're excited for that.
No doubt, Coach. And like you said, so just to let people know what Coach Daley and I do, we have a document. We kind of fire back some ideas, things we see on social media, things that happen in South Jersey. Coach, I know there's a big thing. A lot of people in South Jersey are waiting on something to be official. I just heard within the last 2 hours that we're probably going to be talking about it in the very near future. So big things happen in our area. But we fill out this sheet, and next thing you know, by Wednesday afternoon, I think so. By Wednesday afternoon, we have another full show for the following week already, and things just keep building, and which is awesome. So we want to keep giving an opportunity to come talk to you guys. We really appreciate everyone that checks us out.
Yeah, we can't hit everything in one show, so we got to keep it going. But Coach said we might have some breaking news. That's what we do here, Coach. I I plan on being the South Jersey news outlet at some point. I know we got a lot of great guys that do a lot of great stuff. I know our main man, the Mad Hatter, Mr. Mark Tribble, he does a great job with what they're doing and stuff like that. We're just trying to keep up and have some fun with what we're doing. But we got a loaded show here tonight, and we're going to get into it. And you know what it is, as always, our look good, feel good, play good segment. Coach, you're going to have to talk me through for a second because
let's go.
This is live, and of course, live things happen when you're live. And I forgot to upload the PowerPoint into the show here. So give me a second while I get that PowerPoint uploaded. It's not going to take long, but
well, I'll tell you what, Coach, while you're loading that up, why don't I jump into what I think our first topic is first. We'll come back to this look good, feels good. But recently, so we know the guys at D2 Sports, right, Dominate to Destroy, and the guys that help out with Coach Tribble and Coach Mack and the South Jersey football show each week. And they've done a lot of great things. They just have built up. I think it was their second year now of having a basketball all-star game for all of South Jersey. They have a boys game. They run a girls game. They run a middle school showcase. They have a three-point shootout. Like, they do a lot of things to promote sports as well. Great dudes, and they're putting on a South Jersey football all-star game. So we've had different all-star games over the year. Probably the most notable was the Talifaro Bowl, right? Adam Talifaro, former Eastern legend, just like yourself, Coach. And they had sponsored a game that was at Eastern for a couple decades, or excuse me, was at Rowan for a couple decades. And then the games kind of got harder and harder to pull off, right? So it's really cool to see that this Senior Bowl showcase, again, by D2 Sports. Check out D2 Sports, D2 Sports Network on all your socials. They do a ton of podcasts and stuff as well, and coverage, and Chris Baker, all the guys that write for them, and Emmons, great people. They're putting this on. Coach, I'm really excited about this. I think this is awesome. What are your thoughts on this also?
No, I think it's great too. And I think it's long overdue. Like, when we lost the Talifaro game, there was really nothing in South Jersey that, our guys, obviously you have the North-South game. Yeah. But you look at some of those rosters and you're like, those guys aren't from the South. Like, I don't know how they, but and I'm not taking anything away from the North-South game. They've been doing it a long time and they do a great job too, but it's nice to have something back here local
in our backyard.
Exactly. And it's going to be all local, mostly local players. I'm really excited for it. And I know those guys over at D2 do a great job. I actually did some freelance writing for them back a couple of years ago. So it was fun. But, I wish them the best. I hope it takes off. And, I wish those guys the best. I know I nominated a player from Gateway a couple of days ago. So
beautiful.
We'll see what happens. And
we got two nominees from EHT, Coach, two really good kids that are going on to play college football. One of them has announced where he's going to school. I'm not going to say who, because he's been nominated, but if he doesn't, I don't want him to feel down if he doesn't get in the game. And then another one who's not officially announced, but it sounds like he's going to be playing college football next year as well. So we're really excited for those guys. And again, awesome job by D2. Again, promoting our area, celebrating the game, celebrating all programs. So big shout out to you guys. We really appreciate what you're doing.
Yeah, absolutely. And now I got my technical difficulties figured out. So let's move on to the look good, feel good play segment here. And you got your first jersey up looks like the Texas Tech Red Raiders out there, man. Talk to us a little bit about what they got going on their uniforms here.
Yeah, so this is I believe they just showed, there's a big write-up about this as well coming out recently, but they had it prepared for last season. They're going to wear it again next season. It's a commemorative uniform. I believe it's for a 100th anniversary game and season for their team. But you think about Texas Tech, and they are one of the things that people will and Coach and I go back and forth on this, talking about the positives and the negatives when it comes to NIL and pay for play and all the ways that they're exploiting the rules. This is a positive thing. A school like Texas Tech, which was certainly an underdog program. Now, they were a great, successful program, but in Texas, the flagship was University of Texas Longhorns.
Sure.
Right? Texas Tech is the West Texas flagship. Well, now that you're allowed to create revenue sharing and NIL, and there's big time oil money, all of a sudden, Texas Tech is kind of that new money stepping into the highest tier and making it to college football playoff. And they're investing like crazy. Their facilities are better than NFL facilities. So it's really cool to see this print. I love the number font, the color match, the helmet stripe. I like the traditional helmet stripe. I got a helmet over here with a stripe I'll have to pull out for one of these episodes. But I think it looks awesome. I like the trend and the trajectory that they're on. It's why you see a team like Indiana, who has 800,000 alumni, all of a sudden they're the second most losses in college football history all time, and then they have a Heisman Trophy winner and a national championship. Like, allowing schools to invest, we know there's some downsides, but there's undeniably some positives as well.
For sure. And full disclosure, I was always a big Texas Tech fan because I am a closet Cliff Kingsbury freak. So big fan of Cliff Kingsbury, and he was at Texas Tech. He was Mr. Texas Tech for a while, and he's had some runs in the NFL now and stuff like that too. So
no doubt.
Always pull for those guys, and I think they say
Coach,
guns up. So
you know how you think about monumental wins. I can still remember the apartment room with probably 25 of my teammates in college about to go out for the night, watching the end of Texas Tech upset Texas as the Longhorns were seconds away from going on to the national championship. Michael Crabtree beating double coverage, breaking the tackle, getting down the sideline from Mike Leach and the Red Raiders. And a lot of fun watching those teams.
Damn, man, Mike Leach, one of my favorite coaches ever. Rest in peace, man. Moving on, you got another set of cleats here. Actually, it's more than a set of cleats. We had some good feedback from I forget her name, but we had some great feedback from her from last week with the cleats, and these are kind of funky looking too, man. These got some talk to us about you got red, it's all the pastel colors, man. You got
so it's
light purple,
pretty cool.
Light pink. Talk to us about what the heck we're looking at here.
Yeah, so this is Adidas' new line. Again, I think Adidas is continuing to step up their game in the cleat design field and sneakers in general. They are on a trend of like 10 straight quarters of growth in terms of business and profit, if you're into that kind of stuff. But just ultimately, they're being really successful, right? They're finding a lot of success. The cleats on the right, kind of funky-ish in their colors and not your traditional colors. Well, when you look in really closely, there's like $100 bills faded onto the cleat itself. It just looks really cool. And then that was their cash line, and then they have their coin line on the left. So you have your kind of commemorative towards the Olympics, and then just your gold, your silver, and bronze or copper on there on that side as well. I think they look really cool. And Coach, it cracks myself up because I wore black on black all the time, right?
Yeah.
And now that I'm coaching, and I do think that the cleat game has significantly stepped up since, especially when we were playing. But I love this. I feel like the more exotic looking the cleat, the more that I'm excited about it.
Yeah, and I think, like you said, the cleat game is so much different. But then, like I look at these kids wearing like the Jordans and stuff like that. I'm like, or the Air Force One cleats or whatever. I don't know, the Air Jordan cleats. Like, are they light? Because it used to be like, dude, we try to get the lightest possible cleat.
Yeah.
And if you would pick them up, and you would pick up both cleats, and it barely felt like you were carrying everything, man. Now some of these cleats look so big and bulky. I don't know if they're conducive to being quick. I don't know, but I never worn them. So.
Coach, we got to see. Have you wear a pair of Jordan cleats at practice?
Yeah, I'll be having. Yeah, we're going to talk about that in a future show about wearing cleats at practice, Coach. That's coming up a little bit later. But we're moving on. I got this helmet up here because we put up a little poll question during the week about we're trying to get some swag here, and I don't know, our man Dan might have heard us at Rydell. We'll talk about that here in a couple seconds, but I'm just trying to get a helmet, to display on my background here somewhere, maybe right next to these Lunan bottles. And this is the version that I came up with. I know you like the black look. This is the look that I went with that I like. It's just clean, white helmet, black face mask, gold stripe, and the Daily Move podcast looking so beautiful right there in the center of the helmet. So I don't know if, I know Dan's been hooking us up. I don't know if Dan's got a expired helmet laying around somewhere, but let's make something happen. We'll even be able to throw up a couple bucks probably to get that, get that going. And we got to have something on display on our tables when we're doing our live shows on location. Listen, and that's another thing too, officially announced the other day. We're going to be airing live from the Jersey Shore Blue Claw Stadium in Lakewood down. That'll be in August. So that's really going to be a fun time. Looking forward to that. But Coach, I'm looking forward to being on location at some other schools too. So if you want to have us out, man, you want to have some fun, let's chop it up and let's figure it out, man. And let's find ways to kind of, have some fun at your school. If you want to have us in, man, for sure. We'll come out, we'll set up, we'll do a live show. And obviously it'll be centered around what's going on in your school in particular. So looking forward to that for sure. Moving on here, I got a couple uniform combinations here. Kind of tough to see, but this is from Red Bank Catholic, right?
Awesome.
Red Bank Catholic just to drop their uniform combinations for the season here. You got green on green, green on white, green on yellow. You got about 3, 6, 9 different uniform combinations here, and it just goes to show like, dude, the kids probably eat this stuff up, man. The players have to love this stuff, and it becomes such a big thing on social media. Like, a couple days before the game, they'll make the graphic, and they'll put the graphic out like, hey, uniform fit, or uniform check for Saturday's game or whatever, and it's become like a really cool thing, and the kids will go model the uniforms and stuff like that. So I'm trying to figure out ways to get couple more uniform combinations here at Gateway. But
here we go, Coach. So when I was at Clearview, we actually had 7 different uniform combinations. We had 5 home jersey combinations, 4 sets of pants, and we had 2 away jerseys.
Yeah,
so
it's fun. It's fun for the kids.
A ton of fun. We actually had a uniform committee. So we had a group. They would take input from the rest of the team, and then they were responsible. We had a life-size mannequin. It was like 6'2", 220 build. Looked like a football player. So they were responsible for dressing the mannequin in the game uniform combo for the week. We said we wanted it done before Wednesday's practice. So they would take input. They would try different combos. They would put it out. We would post it on social media. It was awesome.
Oh, that's great, man. That's awesome. You guys were ahead of the curve there at Clearview. So that's why you were South Jersey Coach of the Year, right? Listen, hey, moving on here, we got St. John Vianney revealing their uniforms. This is a nice, clean look, Coach. I really like this one. It's just black on black with those sharp yellow numbers, no outlines on the numbers, just gold numbers there, and the old school Michigan Wolverine style helmet, Delaware Blue Hen helmet, depending on who you ask. But really clean look there from St. John Vianney. I just wanted to kind of touch on that, man. I love that look where it's black on black, but then you go white cleats, white socks, white gloves. Dude, you better have some muscles if you're coming out looking like that, man. You can't come out there with your jersey all loose and dangling around. It's better be a tight fit. You better be filling that uniform out if you're going to be wearing that combination. But really sharp look there from St. John Vianney.
Yeah, Coach, I like that you picked 2 shore conference rivals, 2 private school rivals up in that area. I wonder if there's any coincidence that they both dropped around the same time too. That's a really good choice.
Yeah, it's funny how they both dropped. I'm waiting for some South Jersey teams to drop around, but we'll as they come out, we will feature them. That's for sure. And then we're moving on to our last look good, feel good, play good slide. And Coach Move, why don't you talk about this one? Because this one might be the best looking slide of all right here, baby. That's the official. What is that? A short sleeve hoodie?
There you go, man.
Talk about that. Look at that.
Yeah, so we got from Ardell, we got Dan O'Connor, our guy. Any coach in South Jersey that's getting any kind of equipment, recondition, new orders, we know our guy Dan O'Connor takes care of us. He sent us a text message about a week ago with this picture, and he was like, "Hey guys, love what you're doing on the podcast. Keep it up. Good luck. We got some gifts coming your way." I was pretty fired up about myself. I can't wait to be wearing it on the show.
Out of nowhere, dude. We love you, Dan. South Jersey. If you're in South Jersey, Dan. Like literally, we had a game and we had a kid that I couldn't figure out how to get his face mask back on because we had to switch the face mask. I was texting Dan. I was like, dude, I can't figure this out. He shows up. He walks onto the field during pregame warmups, and he's like, "Where's the kid at?" I said, "He's over there, dude." Dan O'Connor making house calls at Gateway during pregame warmups. That's the kind of guy that you want in your corner, and that's why I'll always use Rydell. And dude, he's just taking care of us too. And as always, our look good, feel good, play good segment brought to you by Twinning Tees, celebrating life's little moments, one tee at a time. If you don't follow them on Instagram yet, I don't know what you're waiting for. They put out great content. And they're taking care of us too. So make sure you go check out Twinning Tees. Anything you guys need done, whether it's printing, embroidery, all kinds of great apparel stuff, make sure you go check out Twinning Tees. We're moving on to our What's Going On segment. We already talked about the South Jersey All-Star game coming back. That'll be on May 31st. D2 Sports putting that on. That's at Rowan. That's it. Yeah, it is soon. Dude, like if I'm speaking candidly, like that's the thing that scares me a little bit is because it's happening fast. I really want this thing to go, but I'm hoping that all these coaches are getting their nominations in. I think I saw today that nominations are like supposed to be closing, if I'm not
Yeah.
mistaken. So I'm hoping that
Yeah,
I'm hoping that this thing takes off.
I think it's going to, Coach. I know they originally were sending out emails around December-ish and then started following up, and I guess they're doing one last sweep and opportunity. So definitely, like you said, coaches, get those guys nominated, man. Let them represent your program. Let them be celebrated one more time as high school players before going on to the next level. I think it's awesome. Obviously, we know there's some springs. That's understandable, but if we got an opportunity for someone to be in the game, I think it's great to nominate them. And that's going to be, it looks like it's on a Sunday, Coach. So that's pretty cool. We might have to go check that out in person if you don't have.
I don't know. We'll figure out if we can set it up. We got to bring a hotspot out there that works, and let's our audio be clear and stuff like that. We got to make sure we're going there. But let's move on to our next topic. It's a hot topic. It's a big topic. It's a very popular topic, and it's 7-on-7, the classic debate. Is it good or bad for the game? And Coach, this viral picture, I believe this was from a 7-on-7 game in North Carolina, if I'm not mistaken. But you can see the picture here of what looks to be the coach, I imagine, and he is squared up with the official as another official lays face down unconscious because the coach had just knocked him out. And let me start off with this. My daughter is 5 years old. She'll be 6 in 2 weeks. She started flag football this past weekend.
Coach, okay? When you said your daughter, I wasn't even I was thinking your older daughter because I know how big flag is at the high school level.
My older daughter played flag football for the first ever team at Washington Township. And then she transferred to Gateway, and they don't have flag football. So
okay.
But yeah, my 5-year-old daughter started playing this week. She is the only. I think there's 6 teams. 5, 6, 7 is the age range, and she is the only girl.
Wow.
She just stood around. She had a nice little run. It was kind of cool to see her. She grabbed the ball the one time, ran the wrong way, and then they told her which way to run. And then the next time she ran, and she got about 15 or 20 yards. But Coach, when I tell you, I don't know if I can go to the games anymore because I can't handle what goes on at the games. When I'm telling you that you have grown men coaching 5, 6, and 7-year-old teams that are not only screaming at their kids, at their players, but they're screaming at these referees who don't look to be any older than maybe 19 or 20 years old that are out there officiating these games, probably getting $20 a game, if that, and maybe a hot dog on the way out. Dude, it really, I was scarred. I was like, dude, do I want to subject my daughter to this? Like, it was really, I didn't like it, dude. And I'm like, I don't know. And somebody, like, I was wearing my Gateway shirt and I'm walking out, and one of the parents from Gateway was there, and they're like, yo, you coaching? I'm like, nah, I can't coach here. Or maybe I should coach here, honestly, and bring some sanity back. And I know I'm sure there's some good guys out there, but some of the stuff I saw, it was unbelievable. And unfortunately, it starts at that level, but from what I've seen, it just continues and carries on as you get older. I think from a 7-on-7 perspective, obviously, the more football you can play, the better. I'm not big on specializing in one sport, so I'm all for playing multiple sports. But if you're out there, you're playing a game at a high level, that's great. But I think there's a time and a place, and I think some of it translates to football in pads, but a lot of it doesn't, Coach. Like, I hate 7-on-7 during the summer, I'll talk about Coach Emmel because we're going to talk to him soon, and not tonight, but that'll be in the future. But I talked to Coach Emmel, and he runs the West Defford 7 on the passing league, and it's a great passing league, and it has been for years. And I won't do it. I can't, because I'd rather have that time with my team and work on the stuff that we're going to be running, Coach, because I'm not going to be running an empty set from the 3-yard line, and I'm not going to be passing the ball on 3rd and 1. And it's just like, you get into bad habits, and listen, I'm not going to sit here and bash 7-on-7. I'm not going to bash the people who play in it. I will say that some of these coaches need to be maybe go through some kind of training. Just you can't just show up and like this is ridiculous, the picture that I'm looking at.
Yeah.
But I will say that I'm not a fan of it. I won't, we might do a couple 7-on-7s. Like I know we're actually going to go over to Clearview like once or twice over the summer and do a 7-on-7, but it's controlled,
Yeah.
It's controlled. It's not just a free for all tournament where these guys are out there trying to win a trophy that's about 7 foot tall. But
yeah,
I'll get off my high horse and I'll let you kind of talk about it because I know you got a lot to say.
Yeah, I think this picture is crazy, dude. I was reading about it and reading the article, and apparently this is not confirmed that this is a coach or a parent. They couldn't say one way or the other. Like you said, it was young athletes, and this ref got hit from behind. So like he got sucker punched like that. And then he was down. The witness said that he was down for 15 minutes, and even when he was okay, he refused to get up. So that guy might be getting a check for his troubles on that day.
I wouldn't be getting up either, man.
I would, dude. You see the guy that hit him? I'm sorry, dude. I'm not getting hit like that and letting that guy leave.
Yeah.
I'm not letting it happen. But in all seriousness, there's obviously great people involved in 7-on-7, right? There's incredible programs across the country. We have a pretty good one in our backyard that's done a lot of good things. And kids like it. So I think if there's a need for something because kids like it, and I do think that they get more confident in skills that you're not always able to work on through your practice all the time as much as you can when you're specifically doing 7-on-7 as a skill player or a DB or, the guys that are going to be in competition. Like, Coach, there's games where a corner, and unless he's involved in tackling, he might not see a pass all game. You know what I mean? So how are they harnessing their skill? So it does provide some of that, but you're right. There's a lot of chaos around some 7-on-7. I just read there was a tournament down in, I think it was in Georgia about a week ago, and police got called and dispatched, and there were hundreds and hundreds of kids, parents, and coaches fighting. Yeah. Now, the positive is that once they got it cleared, it canceled the whole rest of the event. It was like another 2 days they had left in the event, canceled everything. On the positive side, there was no injuries and no arrests. It's like, all right, so all this chaos was going on, but fortunately no one was seriously hurt and no one was wrong so much that it had to affect the rest of their lives. But like, how is that helping your team or your program?
That's what I'm saying, though. How often do we see that, though, Coach? Like, it's every other week, it seems like, that we're seeing a video online somewhere of a brawl taking place at a 7-on-7 tournament. And it's like, dude, it's got to start at the top, man. And like I said, there were some crazy people where I was. There were some great people, too. The guys who were, they were teaching sportsmanship and making – kids these little 5-year-old kids, they'd rip the flag and they'd slam the flag down and they'd say, no, go pick the flag up and hand it to your opponent, and so like there was people trying to do the right thing. But dude, I'm watching my kid's game and like across the field, I literally saw 2 grown men almost like they're screaming at each other in the face, and it's the 2 opposite coaches. And I'm like, dude, is this how it's going to be every week? Because I'm not going to be. I told my wife, I was like, I said, I'm not going to be able to go. Like, I can't deal with it, man. So
it's funny you say that. So I think there's a 7-on-7 league for kids in Williamstown, and my one buddy coaches, my buddy TK, and he coaches specifically with him. And, he's got a really good network of coaches throughout their program, but he coaches specifically in the regular season and the 7-on-7 season. He's like, they all learn to run with the ball. They all learn to make the play. That's a positive trait to it. They got a great close-knit group of friends. Like, that's cool too. Mm-hmm. But he's like, I specifically coach to make sure like that doesn't happen and kids don't watch adults kind of lose themselves. You know what I mean? You'd hate to see that.
That's like everybody I said, maybe I will coach because I feel like I can do more good than bad in that regard. Awesome. Like, so.
Yeah, you're a better man than me. I don't think I could do it. It's funny you bring that up. So my old man coach, when he would watch games, because of exactly what you're talking about, he would stand towards the opponent's sideline in the far corner of the end zone, and he would chain smoke cigars. So, like, nobody would be near him unless they wanted to hang out and smoke cigars and not, like, There was none of that getting caught up in people yelling at coaches from the stands or arguing about play. Like, he took the game in from the furthest aspect while being on the field. He kind of knew his spot. You knew where to see him. You could see his reactions. He would be on film when my brother or my cousin would score a touchdown. Like, you could see him. It was really cool, but it was just for what you were talking about.
Yeah, and I feel like there's a lot of parents out there that kind of, I know my parents did the same thing, sat away from everything. So not all people agree with this. Not all people like the 7-on-7. And this is Sua Cravens, who you know more than me, his background here, but he goes on a rant on Twitter here, and he says the embarrassing and unprofessional nature of coaches, referees, and even the OT7 at times, which I think is the people who put the event on.
One of the premier leagues. It has a lot of big time recruiting access. OT7.
It was created such a toxic environment that I had to step away before I put my hands on somebody, including a coach on my own team, doing backflips in underwear after scoring on a 14-year-old freshman because you're a 19-year-old double holdback senior doesn't make you good. And the recruiting sites that enable this toxic behavior at tournaments are just as much to blame. Y'all love shocking the camera y'all love shoving the camera in these kids' faces when they score a TD, argue on the field, get in a fight, or even get hurt. It's all for clicks. 7-on-7 is not real football, and you'll get your feelings hurt thinking your kid is better than the rest because what he does in a passing league with 0 tackling. This is a way of creating travel ball for football players outside of their respective seasons to gain further recruitment, not the popularity contest your parents, recruiting sites, and coaches have turned this BS into. Strong words from a very prominent football figure there, and I applaud him for putting it out there, man. I couldn't agree more, quite honestly.
Yeah, I think, like you said, Coach, he is talking against all the negative sides that people might see from time to time out there. He kind of lays it all out there. Sua Cravens is interesting because he was a monster at USC. He was a 2nd-round draft pick, and then going into his 2nd year on Washington, he retired. So, like, he's one of these guys that's like a outside of the box free thinker, speaks his mind. It was kind of around the time, Coach, you remember Chris Borland from Wisconsin? He was a multiple-time All-American linebacker, got drafted by the 49ers. He retired as a rookie. Like, guys were starting to retire with head concerns. Sua Cravens was one of those players. So somebody that's not afraid to stand on things that he believes, and he definitely makes it clear where he stands on 7-on-7, at least in terms of seeing the negative side effects of it.
Yeah, and for sure. You talk about, these coaches out there and what you can evaluate at a 7-on-7 tournament, or, I've never listen, we both coach in college. I can honestly say that I've never recruited a kid off of a 7-on-7 film. And I find it sometimes I almost laugh at when I'm not getting into that, but I've never recruited a kid from a set. And I did not recruit a kid, but I never saw a 7-on-7 clip where I'm like, oh, wow, I got to go get this.
Yeah, that you didn't already know about them from what they did on a Friday night. Yeah,
exactly. So, you talk about the evaluation process and we move forward here, and some guys evaluate differently than others. And I guess that this is what leads us to our next topic here, the Oregon quarterback coach, Koa Kaye, on what he looks for in a quarterback and what ice cream has to do with it, Coach. And he goes on record and saying, he asks his quarterback, do you prefer vanilla ice cream or do you prefer chocolate ice cream? And if there's a hesitation, he doesn't want you, because if you hesitate when picking a flavor of ice cream, something as simple as a flavor of ice cream, how are you going to be able to handle the pressure of reading a defense in a big-time championship game? And I've gotten text messages about this, Coach, and listen, you're all for digressing. These guys, you give your flowers, man. Like, you give these guys credit, like, hey, they know more than us. But sometimes I question, do these guys really know more than we do? Like, this is the most crazy take, one of the most crazy takes on evaluating players that I ever heard. And if it's actually true, I'd find it hard to believe. But I kind of took the liberty to make this little cutout here, and it's the Oregon quarterback throwing a pass, and the ball's falling out of his hand, probably for a fumble here, and he's got the little thought bubbles, and he's got a vanilla ice cream cone and a chocolate ice cream cone there. And that was probably what was on his mind. He was probably thinking about that damn ice cream after the game when he's trying to beat Indiana here, and he's not really thinking about, the defense. He's got ice cream on his mind. What do you think of this take? And try and keep it nice, Coach.
Yeah, so it's funny that you put this in here because the day that this posted, I got a text message from a coach in South Jersey and was like, yo, are you guys going to talk about this? And then the next day, I think you sent me a screenshot from a different coach asking the same thing. Because initially I was like, this is so dumb, I don't even want to talk about it, right? Then the next day, a buddy of mine, one of my former college teammates in a group text sent it in. He was like, yo, what's this guy's deal? Steve, tell me what you think he's talking about. So I'm like, all right, I guess we got to address this. So I'm going to say this. Number one, I think these guys get so tripped out in wanting to be cutting edge and wanting to know more than everybody else, not in a put down other people way, but this is why I'm here at Oregon and able to be successful, that they talk in these definitives that make no sense. And I actually think that this guy probably hasn't had the most media training. And his point is he wants a quarterback that's decisive and can make a decision and move forward with it. We going to argue with that?
No, absolutely not.
To explain it in this context, he just lost the plot, dude.
Can I just tell you a quick story? What's today? Today's Tuesday night. Sunday night, my wife texted me. She was like, can we get milkshakes? And I'm like, I don't really want a milkshake, blah, blah. But then I started craving a little bit of ice cream as the time went on. And I'm sitting there and I'm in a group chat. It's me, my wife, and my older daughter. And I'm going back for 30 minutes about what kind of ice cream I want to get. So no, I'm 37 years old. And I still am indecisive when it comes to my desserts. Okay. So lay off these kids when you're talking about what flavor of ice cream they want, dude. It's
Coach. So I got
comical.
It made me think of this story. So I had sometime hopefully Coach is a great guy. But sometimes, as we know, not every coach at every program, especially a big time, is a good guy. So my brother was on a visit when he was in high school, and he went out to the University of Michigan. He sat second row of the 50-yard line. The recruit that he was sitting next to was 6'6", 330 pounds. His dad was 6'9", 360 pounds. This guy was a future NFL offensive tackle. And they show him, they roll out the red carpet. It was awesome, right? He came back from that trip, and he was like, I don't care what happens. I'm not going to Michigan. And I'm like, why? And he said two things. He was like, first, it's the quietest 115,000 people you'll ever hear in your life. Now, I don't know if you've heard that, but I think it's more it's an older crowd, and it's the acoustics of the stadium. Yeah. The other thing he said, and my dad said this, and my uncle said it too, they were all out there. They were like, the quarterback coach, I feel like it's always the quarterback coach, was very unrelatable, right? And he was like, it took them a while to figure out what he was talking about, but he's talking about how good Elvis was, and Elvis was great, and Tommy wasn't really good. And they're 20 minutes in, they're like, this guy's saying that Elvis Gerback is so much better than Tom Brady. And they were completely turned off by it. And Tom Brady had just won, I think, his second Super Bowl at the time, and they weren't going back. They're like, my brother's like, I'm not going to Michigan because of that guy. So sometimes these guys get a little high on themselves. Maybe he's just kind of lost the plot on his statement. And I think Oregon's doing an awesome job, dude. I think they're one of those next programs to win a national championship. I don't think the decisiveness in flavors of ice cream is going to be the difference in why they do it.
It's not. Maybe this was taken out of context. Who knows? But we're going to move on here to another topic that's pretty poignant on my mind. I have strong opinions on it, and we're gonna talk about it tonight. It's the naming of team captains, okay? Because these teams have been coming out and they're dropping their 2026 team captains. And here on the screen, you can see an edit of William and Mary here on the left. William and Mary announced their team captains, and then on the right here, you see the post from Delaware Valley University. They named their 2026 team captains. They're gonna have to take a look at. No,
you read those two names in the middle for Del Val because people might remember those names. Those are two South Jersey guys.
Well, Justin Brown and Tom Arcoli.
Yep, and Arcoli is a linebacker from Chowder Hill West. I recruited both of them. Coach, I was good at recruiting, man. I knew who was a good player.
Yeah, well, it shows there. And you got the 2026 team captains. The only thing I will say, if anybody from Del Val is listening, please take a look at your headline and do a spell check before you put your edits out there, because captains is spelled wrong, but I'm just doing you guys a favor there. But my thought on captain's coach, and we talk about this pretty at length. I hate captains. I hate naming captains in my program, and I'm very honest with my players, and I tell them that every year. It's probably my least favorite thing to do, because what we'll do is I'll let the kids vote, and I'll name two. Usually, if there's two deserving players. I know my first year at Gateway, I don't think I named any captains until midway through the season. But I'll name two captains, and then the other two captains are game captains, and those guys get chosen during the week, whether they had a great game the week before or they had a great week of practice or whatever it might be. They'll get rewarded with being a captain that week on Friday night. But my problem with captains is I've got a senior class this year of probably 12 kids, and let's just say 12. Let's just say, for the sake of argument, 12 of those guys work hard. Yeah. 12 of those guys, they're not all, don't get me wrong, they're not all maybe the same talent level, but the majority of those guys work hard, and they're good leaders, and they're good, people in the classroom, and they're good members of the community and stuff like that. And it's like, it's so tough to me. Why does one kid or two kids get to be named captain, and then you got 8 other guys who are sitting here thinking, well, what, does coach not like me, or do I not? What do I do wrong that I'm not a captain, but he is? Because I do the same things that he does. And dude, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. But for some reason, a long time ago, the football gods told us, hey, we have to name captains. So I'll name 2 captains, and then what I'll do, and I learned it probably from, well, I guess I had it at Eastern too, but we had it at Del Val. We have a team leadership council, and I think that's more important than captains, so to speak. We'll have 4 seniors, 3 juniors, 2 sophomores, and 1 freshman that'll they're all voted on by their peers, and they'll represent the team as the team leadership council. And if anything comes up during the year that needs to be discussed, whether it's team discipline, or something as simple as jerseys, or team meals, or whatever it'll be, I'll say, hey, team council, stay after practice, and we'll make that decision together. But that's a group effort, man, and that's voted on by their peers. And I put more merit in that team leadership council than I do from a team captain perspective. What are your thoughts on this? Do you like the captainship? Is it necessary, or do you just kind of know who your leaders are and your guys kind of gravitate towards them? I'm curious to hear your thoughts.
Yeah, I think, Coach, in a perfect world, what you described is what we all hope to do with our programs, right? Especially as you're entrenched in a program for years, and you're the head coach now. When this group of freshmen comes in, you hope to have your entire senior class is somebody that you can count on, right? I think that's a great sign. Coach, flip to the next slide, because I have something here I want to talk about with it, with captains in mind. So next to that slide, you see that's actually the cover of a book that I wrote. It's called The Fourth Phase of Football. And it's focused entirely on developing your program and valuing the efforts that players put into your program, whether they score 25 touchdowns a year or they play 25 snaps, right? And I think I've had good ideas about developing captains. Like, I remember years ago, Coach John Doherty, who was the head coach at Eastern for a little bit, he was the head coach of Paul VI. So Paul VI won 12 games from 1985 to 2003 combined. And then Coach Doherty came in within his second year. He was going to the playoffs every year. So an incredible turnaround as a program. He did something where he would have his people that wanted to be a captain apply. They had to fill out like a written interview, and then they had to come in with the coaching staff and interview in person as to why they wanted to be a captain. And he said one of his last years at Paul VI, they had a player, Isaiah Rakes, at the time, who then finished up at St. Augustine, who then went on to Texas Tech and then played at Auburn, and now is in the NFL with the Titans. And he said that as a freshman, he applied to be a captain. And he was floored by the want to be a leader. And I thought that idea was really awesome. All these ideas and stuff that I have in there, I probably do captains the worst. I feel like Coach Rob Davis and myself now at EHT, before every game, he looks at me like 40 minutes before kickoff. He's like, yo, who's the captains? Who's going out for the coin toss? Like, the refs are standing there waiting to write it down. Yeah. We're like, send this guy. How about him? But
Dude, I don't name
right.
my I don't name my captains until after we go in from warm up and I bring the team together. That's when I name my captains. And sometimes
cool.
I don't know
Yeah.
until we walk into that coach's office or like, all right, or who's going
Yeah.
out there today. So
And it's a good way to. I like your idea of it. So I've kind of adopted the NFL style, where maybe you're changing captains per game, or somebody has a huge week of practice, or there's something important going on in that player's life that you want to recognize. They get to go out and represent for the coin toss. But Coach, you were captain in high school, I'm sure. How about in college or when you were overseas at all?
I was, I wasn't. I was captain in high school. I wasn't
Yeah.
captain in college, but I was on the team leadership council when I was
Okay.
at Towson. So
So it's
I was
very
one of
similar.
two. Yeah, I was one of two freshmen. I never made it in college long enough
Right.
to get to my senior year and my
I got
junior
you.
year. So,
So for me, I was a captain, and I mean, growing up, everybody is, but I was a captain in high school and in college, and it's probably the most overrated thing that you can do on a football. Like, it sounds cool to outsiders, but like you don't really do much that you wouldn't be doing anyway already on the team.
Dude, I was quiet, man. I was a quiet leader. I led by example. I think in high school, like I did the right things. I was at workouts and working hard, but like as far as like being a rah guy and getting everybody going and getting on guys, like, dude, it wasn't me. It wasn't who I was. And even as a coach right now, like, dude, there'll be times where I get on guys, but like there's guys on my staff that are rah guys. I'm just kind of sitting back and observing everything. And like I said, I said it on the podcast that I did last night. Like, dude, my kids, they all make fun of me because they say I'm kind of like emotionless. Like, are you ever impressed? And I'm like, dude, yes, I'm impressed. Sometimes, but you wouldn't always. Dude, it can't be too high, can't be too low. And everybody was like, you're getting on Kurt Signetti, and he went viral after winning the game to go to the national title and didn't crack a smile. And like, dude, that's how I feel after the game. Like, dude, my kids are all jumping up and down after a big win and they're celebrating, and I'm yelling at them to get their helmet on and get in line and go shake hands. Like, dude, that's just the kind of guy I am. And you'll get your flowers after the game. You'll get a pat on the back and good job. And now we're going to get back to work on Monday. So that's where I'm at with the whole thing. But it's just interesting to talk about. And I'm sure there's a very varied opinion on even what because I think we kind of agreed on it. So
yeah,
I'm sure there's guys out there that think differently. We're going to move on.
They can be right.
Move on to our next topic. We're going to take some questions because we have had some people reach out to us here, whether it's through text message or via email. So a couple that stood out to me, and I know you sent me one over. This is from Brett, and he says, I love football. I believe in the life lessons and lifelong bonds, but my career has led me down a path where getting into coaching wasn't possible. Now I am over a decade after my connections have been in coaching, and I was wondering if you guys had any thoughts on how to go about trying to get into coaching at the high school level. I'll let you take this one first. What are you going to tell?
That was Brett and Cherry Hill, right? I think that's who sent that one. So I think this, and that's a great point, and there's nothing wrong with that. Like, remember the guy who was the coach of Coastal Carolina a couple years ago before they took their step up. He was in college coaching and then became a CEO of TD Ameritrade because his life took him that way. And then once he rose to running that company and it was successful and he was, kind of semi-retired, he came back to coaching and became a college head coach. So there's definitely plenty of time for people to check things out if they'd like to. But I think the easiest thing is to look and find a place, whether it's, hey, this works for me because it's close, or, hey, this works for me because I know someone there, or this coach, I like the way they run a program. Just reach out. Hey, I'd love to help the program, or sit down and meet and learn about your program. Like, dude, Coach, you know how it is. You ever turned away free help? Or have you ever been able to fill every single stipend position every season you've been a head coach?
No, I haven't. I am proud to say that for the last 2 or 3 years, there's been very minimal turnover on my staff, which is the first time that's really happened. And I have nine coaches now at a Group 1 school, which is it's a lot. So like, you asked me, like, have you ever turned anybody away? Like, I turned somebody away this year, and I feel bad about it. And I'm like, dude, I just opened this Lunan and it went all over me. I'm drinking the sparkling Lunan and it exploded everywhere. Lunan killing me. Anyway, but I had to turn I had to turn somebody down this year, and I feel bad. But like you just said, dude, just reach out.
Yeah.
Just reach out, because most guys are going to just, hey, do you have your sub cert? I don't even know if you need a sub cert anymore, coach. Like, I don't know the rules in high school football anymore. And I don't mean it literally, but I'm like, this place is so crazy. I'm sure there's guys out there that are coaching that don't have the proper certs, but it just doesn't hurt to reach out, because guys always need help.
So we had a guy
good help is so hard to find in the coaching
man.
profession.
We had a guy at Clearview, lived in town, was friends with some of our administrators, and he actually played in the PSAC. And then he was on the Buffalo Bills practice squad as they went to the Super Bowl, got activated for some games. And he was the man. And he just said, hey, my work schedule is finally open. I'm in this area. Can I talk to you about your program? And he was so valuable to us as a coach, but also as a person. He related incredibly well to our players. And then once he moved, he now coaches down here at Ocean City with my brother-in-law, is a huge part of their coaching staff as well, Coach Govern. But you're right, there's good people out there. And if you just reach out to a coach, and, coaches are busy, so maybe they don't see the first email or answer the first text, keep reaching out, because we all need help.
This is off topic, but what are your thoughts on coaches who are parents of players? Do you have a rule on that?
No.
No,
I know some people have rule. I think it's more through the experience of what you may or may not have done with that. I also think it comes down to like the person. So like I'll use my brother-in-law, right? Like say I'm a head coach and I live in the town where my brother-in-law and my two nephews are going to go to school. Well, my brother-in-law was in every Hall of Fame of he's in his high school Hall of Fame, his college Hall of Fame. He was Gagliardi Award winner finalist. He was a two-time All-American and a team captain in college. And now he's a head coach. Like, I would keep him on my staff if my nephews were coming up to play for him. You know what I mean? Like, or
it's not even,
if this guy just, hey, I want to show up and coach now because my son's in ninth grade, then
that's where I'm more
to vet it.
But that's where I'm more leaning towards, like, dude, you haven't coached, but now your kid's coming in as a freshman and you suddenly want to volunteer as a coach. I just like, what are the intentions there? So I kind of really tread lightly when
you could really help us out by volunteering for the Booster Club.
Yeah, absolutely. We're moving on with questions. This is your boy Jay in Egg Harbor. It says, you guys have both gone through the interview process multiple times. What things do you look for in pursuing a head coaching job?
You want to go first?
I talked about this last night, and I haven't interviewed for a job. I've interviewed for a lot of jobs, but I haven't interviewed for a job since I've been at Gateway. And I have interviewed for very few jobs, probably in my last 8 years of coaching. But I always felt that I was a good interview, and it's because I'm myself, So I go in there, and when I took the job in Cherry Hill, dude, it was different than when I took the job at Gateway, because when I took the job in Cherry Hill, it was my first head coaching job. So I was willing to kind of just take it. Like, dude, it got offered to me, and I didn't have, like, I was 29, I think. I didn't have the right questions to ask, and I didn't know what I didn't know, because I was coaching in college, but I was an assistant, and I didn't really know. I've never had my own program. So the opportunity came, and they said, hey, we're gonna, you're gonna lead this Group 5 program, and I was taking over for Tom Cohen, who went through some rough years there at the end, but like, dude, legendary coach, like awesome coach. And I'm like, dude, I'm coming in and now I'm, going to fill his shoes and take over this Group 5 program. And I've never been a head coach before. I didn't know what to ask. I just knew that I had to say yes. So I said yes. And, I did what I did there and had some pretty good success. But then I went, I took a year off, and then I got the itch again. And when I interviewed at Gateway, it was very mapped out. And I was because I knew I wanted to coach again. So I kind of went through like Gridiron, New Jersey, and I was like, all right, who didn't have a very good year this year? Where could I possibly go that I would want to go? And Gateway was one of those schools because it's close to my house. I've known about it. We scrimmaged there when I was at Cherry Hill East. I liked the layout of the school and all. And then I did some research, and the coach that was there was like, he was in his second year, and I went on his Twitter, and he's posting all these things from the weight room and stuff. Like, it's the off season. So I'm like, all right, this guy, he's ready to go. So he's not going anywhere. So that's out. And then like a couple weeks later, I heard that he had stepped down, ironically enough, and I sent my stuff in to Gateway, and I knew what to ask, and I knew, I knew why I wanted to be there, and that was their question, like, why do you want to come here? And I was just, I had my answers, and I said, it's closer to home. I'm looking for a more steady job. I'd like not to drive 40 minutes each way to get to work, and you learn those things as time goes on. But I don't know what I would ask now, because I don't foresee myself ever being a head coach anywhere else. I say that now, but you just learn what's important, and administrative support is so important, and I'm so lucky to have that where I am. Booster club support, and I say this all the time, like, dude, you got to make sure that you and your booster club are on the same page, because if you're not, it could be really, really messy situation. And I think I got into a little bit of that in Cherry Hill. So, but yeah, I would think make sure that, you have the support from the top and just know what you're looking for. Go ahead, Coach. I rambled a little bit. You take
That's
over.
good stuff, Coach. It's funny you say that. I am extremely, like, all right, so when I prepare for a job, I do so much homework on a place from obviously, the South Jersey coaching mafia, right? Like, this is a tight circle, that I typically am able to find out the challenges or things that concern either an administration or a community or coaches about a place before I apply. So then I start thinking, like, all right, what are the answers to those questions that would be solutions that I need to hear from the school, or that maybe they need to hear from me? So I start building that together, and I go from there. Everyone is going to tell you support. And if you go into any interview and ask, do you support athlete? Of course, they're going to say yes. But being able to learn, like, hey, what are the signs of a place that supports you? I think is something that probably comes with experience. And if you're a younger coach, ask an older coach, or ask a coach that you think that you really respect. And I'll tell you this, in our area, Coach, we just said the South Jersey coach in Mafia, reach out to a coach, even if you don't know him. Hey, Coach, I'm Steve Scanlon. I'm looking to become a head coach for the first time. I really admire your program. I'm interviewing or I'm looking to interview this. What do you think I should be asking or looking for? So free game here, Coach. This is what I do. I write out those questions on my notes, like on my notes on my phone, just firing them, right? And then I'll print them out. And when I go interview somewhere, I'll have, like, my clipboard or my note packet or my whatever it might be, my book. And I'll put it on, like, the second page so no one else can read it, right? And when it gets to the part where I get to do, because I always look at an interview as I'm interviewing the school to determine if it's where I'm going to run my program, more than I look at them interviewing me. And that could just be like a mindset flip thing. It's not like, oh, I'm so great. It's what makes me comfortable going into an interview process, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what I'll do is I'll start asking those questions, and it's usually over like 1 to 3 rounds where I get through. Typically, I get to around 15 questions that I got to hear answers to. And what I'll do is, if somebody answers it in the way I want to say, I'll just put like a check mark next to it, cross out the question. If I don't like the answer, like if their answer, in my opinion, is wrong, I put an X next to it. And if they say something that is like alarming, I'll write down exactly what they said. And then I'll ask follow up, like, hey, what did you guys mean by? Just to confirm that I didn't mishear it or didn't misunderstand it. And that's always helped me in my process of figuring out where I would like to be. But you're right. Like I used to love, when I was in my 20s and trying to become a head coach, I knew I didn't want to take a head coaching job just to be a head coach. But also I knew that I loved preparing for the interview and I wanted to interview. So I got to a point where I was getting like 2 interviews per year in the off season. Then I got my first head coaching job. Then I've interviewed at other head coaching opportunities throughout the years, whether I'm interviewing for colleges, just college coaching positions, or different high schools throughout the years. And how they typically answer those questions before was had a lot to do with if it was somewhere I wanted to be or not. And then now for me, it's more family. How it works for your family is always extremely important for coaches. So
I mean, at that point, it's like it really has to be. So I will say that I went down to coaches AFCA convention a couple years ago when I was at Del Val, and I was down there with Coach Mike Isgro, who I'm sure you being down the shore, you guys know him well. Dude, I spent the night in the bar with Isgro, and this isn't a bad story. I spent the night in the bar with Isgro, and I spent the night with a guy who I had never met before, but Coach Isgro knew him well, and it's Doug Coleman. And Doug
That's
Coleman,
awesome.
yeah, and it was before I literally had a head coaching interview a couple days after I was coming back from the convention, and I was preparing for it, and I just sat there and picked Doug Coleman's brain. And he probably, I don't know if he remembers, it was years ago and remembers the conversation, but I learned so much from him in 30 minutes that it helped me for my entire future of how I prepare for an interview. He said, you need to go in there as the most confident person. Like, dude, you need to go in there. You need to know the boys basketball coach. You need to know the cheerleading coach. You need to know the band director and say, hey, what kind of, I want to walk into the school with the drum line and have the drum line leading us in through the crowd, blah, 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 and just show excitement and show, genuine want to with the program, dude. And I took that into every interview that I've ever been on. And I think people are kind of blown away with when I interview. It's like, dude, I bring that with me, and it's, I know the friggin' cheerleading coach, and I know the band director, and I say, how are we all going to work together to make this place special and what it needs to be? And I talked about it. One question I always ask, I say, is wins and losses aside, is this program a successful? Would you consider this program a successful football program? And sometimes the athletic directors looked at me like, what the hell are you talking about? Or, but then they would take a second and say, hey, yes, I think the program is successful, other than wins and losses because we have good culture. Or no, I don't think this program is successful as it should be because we don't have a good culture. And even though we have a couple wins, things are a little out of control. So it's always good to hear that. And I feel like if I could leave that behind and, for the next guy who wants to come in and take over my job eventually, and if he ever asked the same question, I would hope that my athletic director without hesitation would say, yeah, the football program is in good shape no matter how many wins or losses we have. So I hopefully somebody heard that and takes that with them and learns a little bit of something. And that's what we're here for, man. We're trying to just talk about our journeys and help as many ways as we possibly can. So it's been pretty fun so far, Coach. I can say that for sure.
Yeah. So guys, Coach Isgro was a Absegami sectional championship quarterback. He also was an All-American and a football player quarterback at Del Val. He also played on the baseball team. He then became their head coach. Now he has moved up to the Division II level at Westchester. Doug Coleman was an Ocean City Red Raiders superstar, went on to play at Nebraska and then the NFL for the Giants. And then he spent the rest of his career coaching college and NFL football. So good pull there by you, Coach Daley.
Yeah, it was an awesome night, and I got so much from Coach Coleman, and he doesn't even know. He probably doesn't even remember my name because he didn't know who I was. He was just sitting there, just giving me free information, dude, and I just took it in like a sponge, man. That's awesome. But we're gonna move on. We're gonna wrap this one up, put a bow on it. We're a little over here. We're gonna get into our weekly awards, and my weekly award, Coach of the Week, ties exactly into, dude, what we're talking about, man, and it comes full circle with me. Because my Coach of the Week award goes to Coach Lamont Harris. Lamont Harris was just named the head coach at Pittman High School. Coach Harris, don't know if you remember, I recruited you pretty hard when I was at Del Val, man. I recruited you at St. Augustine when you were a big-time running back. Coach Harris was a standout running back at St. Augustine, went on to play at Widener University, and he's been an assistant coach and kind of bouncing around in South Jersey a little bit and got his first opportunity as a head coach to take over for Chris Thomas over there at Pittman, who did an awesome job for those guys as well. So, Coach Harris, man, if you ever need anything, please don't hesitate to reach out to us. Coach of the Week, best of luck to you. Player of the Week, talk to us, Coach.
Nice and easy. The Incredible Hawk, Josh Hawk. I like this. So if anybody watched the UFC event this past weekend, the fight of the night, right, the heavyweight match here. You have somebody who's probably not really he's 230 pounds, 6'1", 230, but he's not really a natural heavyweight. Like those guys typically fight at like middleweight or light heavy. But he's fighting in the heavyweight division, absolute brawler. He was a running back at Fresno State as a walk-on and an All-American wrestler. Went on and played in the NFL a little bit on the practice squad. Walked into an MMA gym after he just got some entertaining fight. multi-sport athlete. He turned down a scholarship to Drexel because they didn't have football, and he went on to play running back and wrestle at college. Like, that's an incredible commitment, and it's no surprise that he's finding success in the UFC now. So that's my choice for player or athlete of the week.
That's awesome, man. And it's very rare to find that in this day and age, but that's an awesome pick there. And congratulations to our coach of the week and our player of the week. Coach, we are at an hour and 5 minutes, and it flies by when we're talking together, but that's why we're adding shows, right? So we got this show will drop tomorrow. As always, listen to it on Spotify, whatever you listen to your podcast on, Apple Podcasts. Make sure you're hitting that subscribe button. If you like what we're doing, we need you. We need you. It really does help us, and it allows us to keep going. Thursday, we're going to drop a no huddle episode. We're going to talk about a couple of hot topics in the coaching world. Short, sweet, 20, 25 minutes, 30 minutes. I don't know. We like to keep it short, but we say we're going to. It never really happens that way. And then Friday, we're going to drop our South Jersey Spotlight episode where we're going to be covering, Coach, what are we talking? Who are we talking about Friday? I forget. We got the Continental
divisions coming up.
Two divisions.
We just did
the Continental Division and the Diamond Division. We're going to talk about them on Friday. And we're going to dissect those. Diamond Division takes the cake so far as the most engaged division on social media. Over 23,000 hits on that division. But hey,
keep them coming, man.
We're doing this. We love it. We hope that you guys are enjoying it as well with us. We're trying to bring you as much possible content as we can. We're trying to be a resource for young coaches, whether it's in South Jersey or nationwide. Please reach out to us, man. If you have any questions, we'll be happy to talk to you guys and happy to answer. But that's going to wrap it up for another episode of the Daily Move podcast. Hey, check us out. Appreciate you, Greg Fox, and check us out. We'll be, like I said, we'll be back on Thursday with another episode, man. Make sure you guys tune in. Coach, final words. Let's hear them, baby.
Let's find a way to win, Coach.
You find a way to win. We got it. We'll talk to you guys soon. Thank you.